There you go. How's it going, guys? So, welcome to another weekly AMA. Cheers! It's Thursday night, about 7 o'clock, and I have a adult beverage. So I got this for Christmas. I got like a 24 pack of like every day of the first 24 days of Christmas. You have a different German beer. I got it from Costco. Some have been really good. This one not so good. Um, Today I want to talk to you about something that I'm sort of going through, and I think a lot of us go through, especially as software engineers, and aspiring software engineers specifically. Like that whole background looks really good, minus that I have my jacket on the ground there, right? Let's go ahead and do one of these. Killed it. How's it going, Cody? And I had to rearrange my office. I apologize if the stream's not as steady. My dog chewed through the Ethernet cable, so we're on the Wi-Fi. And when I did that, the tower that was in the corner, for whatever reason, couldn't get any signal. So I changed my desk to be in the corner, moved the tower right over here, moved some stuff around. Um, but so anyhow, what I'm trying to say is this: that a lot of us at times go through unmotivated points of time, or even not even points where we're not motivated, where we're not motivated by the same things that we used to be motivated by. Um, so like one thing for me is that I've been struggling with as a developer is YouTube. I enjoyed the live streams, but the last month or so I really haven't want to put out any videos, and I have to overcome that because YouTube is a very big part of my life in a sense of there are financial aspects that I have to gain. There are career aspects and goals I want to hit with the channel, things that I've worked very hard on that I want to make sure that I go and I achieve that. So, how do we do it? And I bring this up not just to talk about my own woes and how, I've been doing YouTube for almost 4 years, 5 years, so 4.5 years, somewhere around there, 4.5 years. And consistently I put out about 2 videos a week for several years straight, with one or two hiccups along the way where I might not post for a week or two, and we're sort of in one of those. And I have no doubt that many of you, when you are working on whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's becoming a developer, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's progressing your life or your career, that at some point in time, there are times where, even though you want it, it just is hard to do, and you'd rather put your time and energy into other things. And I know that for me, that's sort of where I'm at with YouTube at times. And I think it's something very relatable, whether you're a developer or not. I think being a developer is particularly one of the things, and you sort of lose your mojo, um, where you're like, this is part of your groove, but you just feel out of it. And sometimes it's burnt out. Sometimes it's because you're burnt out, but there are other times, like for me, I'm not burnt out at all. There's just other things I like do. This is a, I'm at a very strange point in my life, in the sense of I really actually enjoy my workplace. And part of that is because I'm full remote, and it's one of the strange things where one of the things that used to motivate me, and I've had this conversation with April about, like, it's hard for me to work out because when I was a single man, a decade ago at this point. um um so when I was a single man a decade ago, it the thing that motivated me was dating. But I don't date anymore. Like, me and my girlfriend are essentially a common law. Like I wouldn't say we're date. We've been living together for years. We have pets together. We're planning on getting married and having kids together. It's so dating, as in, like, oh, I was single dating. And so for me, getting my mindset for what I always worked out for was that. And with YouTube and things like that was because a lot of the motivating factor was, yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, yeah, I want to continue growing. But like a good motivation point was that at the end of the day, I didn't want to be at said company for X amount of time because I didn't really like it. And so what's sort of strange is that by me enjoying my current job more than I have in other things, the thing that has motivated me with YouTube has slightly changed. Good portion of it. I shouldn't say it's the only thing. And so I'm working on other things that I'm more interested in. And the why am I bringing this up? Well, when you are losing your mojo, when you are losing whatever it is that you have a goal and you know it's intricate to your goal, hey big boy, and you know it's a big part of your goal that you want to accomplish it, you have to figure out how you can easily tie in the things that you are interested in into this thing that is a crucial part that maybe you don't want to devote as much energy or time to. And that's how you tackle that. So, like, one way I'm going about it is I'm more interested in writing my book, building a course, working on my side projects. And so that's how that's what going to do videos about, the things that I'm doing. They're all software related, so it goes with the channel, right? But that's that's the shift that I'm making to get my mojo back with the YouTube and all that sort of stuff. Um, but it's an interesting thing at times because we've all been at whatever point we're in where something's important to us, but it's hard for us to treat it like it's important. At times I have no doubt many of you have been aspiring software engineers or are aspiring, but it's hard to keep it going. That's why I tell you, keep it fun, keep it moving, go with other things. Don't stay on things that get you stuck. So it's it's been an interesting couple weeks where I've been sort of doing a little bit of soul searching to a degree where I'm trying to figure out what I need to do to overcome, um, and and set my path to where it is. And it could be that I might have to drop one of the three other things I'm interested in and not consecutively work on it. So, I share this because I want you to think about it. I want you to think about whatever um, you know, hard moments there are that you need to not think these things will happen naturally, that you oftentimes have to devise a game plan. You have to think logically. You have to pull out the whiteboard and say, okay, what is it I want to do? Okay, objectively, what is it that I should do? All right, how can we get these to overlap some? It's not going to be perfect, but how can we get them to overlap, and maybe we can accomplish a couple things so that 6 months or a year from now, when I'm like, oh man, I love X, Y, and Z again. I wish it was where I wish I stuck with it. We don't have those regrets. We have like, oh man, I did the best I could, but it's still doing its thing because we kept keeping on. Puppies, baby girl. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. So this isn't about me. This is about people like you, Code Poppy, the average programmer, Cody Knoll, Chris Castillo, that kick, yeah, dude, the form, uh, Fred Jones, Opie Kills. Um, this is your opportunity to ask questions so I can help provide direction. Um, it is sort of strange though, because I understand the appeal. This is one thing that I'm sort of torn about internally. I understand that at the end of the day, no matter who you work for, they have to look out for their best interests, and you have to look out for your best interest. But that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy what you do. That doesn't mean that you can't continue to that you can't. I'm so torn because I'm the first person that will tell you that you need to always have a side project because you don't want to be dependent upon a person or company or organization, whoever it is, no matter how great, because you want to have multiple revenue streams. You want to be, but like this is the first time in my life where I see myself really being at a company for a good period of time, and it's a strange thing because I've always been just planning the exit. You know what I mean? Like I've always just been doing the exit plan. I'm starting my first dev role at the beginning of January. What should be my primary goals in the first few months? Okay, your primary goal. So, no matter what technologies that you're familiar with, you're not as prepared that you need to be. So, your primary goal is to keep your job, and you do that by one, listening, and by two, every day after work for the first 6 to 12 weeks. So, between 6 weeks and 3 months, you go home and you do whatever technology you're in. You're going to go do a 40-hour course in it. All of these courses are going bam, 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 bam. You're going to do it, do it, do it, do it, do it every single day because you just need to be exposed to everything that technology has to offer. So that's what you do in the first few months. You just get good with the technologies that they're using and you get up and running as quickly as possible. How long will it take to get my first coding job in San Francisco studying 40 hours a week? Uh, I don't know. I don't know how hard it is to get a job in SF. I've had a couple of people who studied about 40 hours a week with no computer science background doing like free code camp and they got their first dev job within 6 to 9 months. Um, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Chris Hawks. So Chris at times, um, I relate a lot to Chris Hawks at times. And at least I feel like I do. We're obviously two very different people. He's a little bit older than I have. He's been married and divorced, and he has children. But I think we share some of what it means to like I've gone to like we one thing I've connected with him on a bit is like through videos and stuff is I have sorry mom. uh, I have also been shot down in like interviews when I was first getting up and going and like no one's giving me a shot because I don't have a degree and all that sort of stuff. So like to that and so sometimes I go on like binges of Chris Hawk's videos where I watch them because like it's a little bit of venting because at times he and I see the world very similarly. And I can appreciate I can appreciate his outlook on things, and they're quite similar at times. So as I've been started doing soul search, I've been watching a lot of Chris Hawks, which was to say, I don't remember what I was going to quote something from his video. What was I talking about? I went off on this tangent. I forgot the original question. Um, Sorry, it'll come to me. Any state with the best entry level job market. My advice to anyone trying to get their first dev job is apply in all 50 states. That's my advice. Put right in with your city willing to relocate. Apply to everything that is anything. All you need to do is get your first dev job. That's it, man. And get that experience. Because those first couple years experience, you're like, oh, dude, I don't want to go to Florida. I want to be in San Francisco. Great. Go to Florida for 3 years. Go to San Francisco after. Would it be better to stay in a current role as a junior dev or seek out a new junior dev role, even if it doesn't pay much better? I'm currently at 1.5 years in my current role. You shouldn't be taking a junior level role at 1.5 years. You should definitely be going for at least a mid role or get the junior dropped off your title. And at 1.5 years, you should easily be able to get a significant pay bump, unless you started very high. But that's very surprising. Um, so. Favorite beer? I don't really drink all that much. We just sort of bought it because we thought it was cool. But if I had to name one, I really like Japanese beers. So like Sapporo would be one that comes to mind. But mainly that's just because Like whenever I take April out to eat, 9 out of 10 times it's sushi. So it's like, oh babe, I'm gonna take us out to a nice dinner. All right, where you want to go? I've been asking where you want to go for a decade, and it's been sushi. The only other times we go elsewhere are when we're like double dating or we're going with friends and stuff like that. Does it bother you to not know exactly how every piece of hardware in your computer transfers and stores data at the lowest level? No. And I kind of understand how things get magnetized uh, with ones and zeros on the old disk, but I don't care. Here's the thing: is I don't care about things that don't affect me, and I think it's a right mindset to have. Now, if I was a maybe a server tech or something where it impacted my life, I care about. I genuinely don't care about things that don't have an impact about me. And maybe at times that's made it hard for me to connect to people because I'm not just talking about like just like politics or how the computer transfers and stores data. I'm more so talking about um like in life. Um I don't know what April asked me the other day, but it was something along the lines of like, "Don't you?" I was like, "I don't give a shit about those people. I don't know those people. I go to work in pajamas, so they wouldn't fire me. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. They have no impact on my life." Like it was like I don't care. They think whatever they want about me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got I don't have time to think about them. You know, I'm trying to keep us afloat. I'm trying to get us to our goals. I'm trying to, get to the next stage of life, take care of the things I need to take care of. I don't have time to worry about shit that doesn't matter, doesn't impact me in the ways I want to be impacted. How do I want to be impacted? Well, I want to be able to have a financial future. I want to be healthy. I want to, start a family. I want to, move eventually. I want to buy a house. I want to do all these things. I want to travel. How's that impact me? Doesn't? Cool. Don't care. um, yeah. April, we went to my work's Christmas party, which was like a couple thousand people, and they rented out this venue and everything, and it said holiday attire. I was like, I don't know what the hell holiday attire is. So I like literally showed up in a flannel and jeans, and we just went in comfy. We were like the most. Everybody else was in like suits, and everybody else was in, like full on like prom dresses. Is what it felt like. Like they were dressed up, and I was just like, all right, like we were the only ones that were comfy. Everyone's, and you know what? I should have thought about it. I should have thought about it. Because like the company I work for is they're a consulting firm, and they're in the accounting world, and you're a little bit more formal in the accounting world. At least I think. Like when I go in the office, I dress much more formal. Hey, happy holidays, Richard. What percentage of developers are super talented? All right, guys. There's very few super talented developers, and more so just hardworking developers. Let's get that out the way. Um, and experienced developers. And what percent of developers put in the time to get to that level? Less than five. Hey, Jordan, how's it going, man? Exactly. Um, there's no one comes out the womb and is just like a savant of code. They don't know. We all have to go through the same process. And so, if you want to be super talented, get good, get great, get better. That's how we go about it. All right. Like I was talking with my buddy, and at some point in time, I'm gonna go work at Microsoft and Google. It's not like I hope I'm gonna go work at Microsoft or Google. I'm gonna go work at Microsoft or Google. Like, it's and how am I gonna do it? Well, I'm gonna do exactly that. I say, okay, what do I need to get good at? To do the interview, I have to get good at algorithms. Great. I'm gonna go get good at algorithms. Then I'm gonna get great at algorithms, and then I'm gonna get better at algorithms, and then I'll kill that interview. And if you take that mentality, you can do whatever you want. You just have to understand that there's base level understanding. There's always room for growth. Um, is a contract job good to take as a first job? You gotta take any job you can get as first job. Um, that's my advice. Take whatever you can get that resume experience, and get going. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna get paid to learn, and it's one of the best things that can happen to you. Good day, Sash Kaka. Hey, baby girl. We got the dogs for Christmas, like a 3-foot bone. It's one of 2 times I've ever heard Gator growl at Boise because she was gonna go take his bone. He wasn't having it. Come here, Gator. Come here, big boy. You want to say hi? Come here. Oh, it's your big puppy. Get up here. Get up here, big boy. Oh, 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 ha, oh. No, I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. He's like, she's getting all the bone. Fluffy butt. Boise's getting so big, yeah. We haven't had her weighed in a little bit. I know that you brought it up. I need to go to the vet and get some heartworm medicine for them. But she's definitely got to be over 40 pounds. Yeah, Gator's about 70. Although he's thinned out a little bit. As she's gotten bigger, they've run around a little bit more. I think he's lost a little bit of weight. So he's probably like 65, 68, somewhere around there. Nice, Jordan. Did you build your PC? No, it's custom built, but I didn't manually build it. For a job interview, which was more productive, studying frameworks, studying pure JavaScript? So I oftentimes, so here's the thing: unless it's your first job, you shouldn't really even need to study these things. But if it's your first job, I always recommend fundamentals of frameworks. So it'll do better, more for you long term. Have you ever programmed your mind, no pun intended, to think like a problem solver? Yeah, I mean, pretty much one of the reasons I think I'm good at programming, and it sort of makes sense, is my entire childhood I grew up playing nothing but like RPGs. And back in like Super Nintendo days and Nintendo days, RPGs were filled with logic puzzles. If I put this here, I move that there. If I do this 5 times and do that, and I, calculate this, and so it's very programming related. So I oftentimes do think like a problem solver, generally speaking. And when it comes to syntax, it's just syntax, right? I can pretty much do whatever I need in C sharp, even though I program daily in JavaScript. You say, okay, cool. That's why pseudocode's so important. If you can't solve things in pseudocode, um, you know, then you probably have a problem. So then it's just translating the pseudocode to the language of choice. Like there's things that if you've only ever programmed in one language, technical specifics, like multi-threads, that would be something that I'm not familiar with because I haven't been exposed to it. But the idea of having multiple items triggering, if you can understand that and how to do that. But generally speaking, with most programming language, you'll be exposed to a lot of the same stuff. And if you do that, you'll you'll pick up a lot of items along the way. And part of the reason I recommend people dive into TypeScript is it exposes you to things in JavaScript that are part of other languages, like abstract classes, interfaces, enums, items that you may not know exist, but you'll be exposed to the ideas of them. And if you move to another language in the future, you'll be prepared. Get out of the trash gator. Big boy. Big boy. Um, how important are cover letters for a job? Uh, Here's the truth. I've never written one. Like I have templates where I've used them. I should say I've written them, but of the 1,000 job apps that I've filled out, I would say there's less than 50 that I've put a cover letter to. So what I would say is you create a generic cover letter. That's what I say. If and attach it. A generic cover letter does well. Tell your story, some key pieces of details, how many years of experience in core technologies. That's it. That's what I would recommend. I think there's value in telling your story. Gator, you remember that? This is you as a puppy. You're a baby boy. What time is it? It's about 7:30 here. Hey, I completed the Team Treehouse front end developer degree. Should I start applying for jobs or learn React JS first? They have you do a front end developer tech uh degree without any framework. I mean, you can start applying. So here's the thing: there's no reason. I always recommend to apply for jobs pretty much right away. As soon as you can apply for jobs, start applying for jobs. It's going to take you a minute. So that's what I would say to you: is start applying today and go and learn React in the meantime. So you can spend 2 to 3 hours a day filling out job apps and still study 2 to 3 hours a day. How do you stay up to date with the latest frameworks? I follow. I go to conferences. You sort of just stay up to date by seeing what other people are talking about. That's the best way. Is just by being part of the community. Like when you're in the community, you'll stay and see what people in the community are doing. And that you got to be careful not to get caught up in the hype. Also, like there's a lot of stuff that you can look at and be like, oh, am I super interested in this? Am I, yeah, I'm interested, but what is it going to do for me? All right, have a good one, Richard. Lost motivation recently after failing coding challenge for internal transfer at work. That happens, man. Um, but at least you know what you need to work on, right? You need to go work on those algorithms, I bet, right? Yeah, Jacob. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think you need to have full like, oh, I released a web app into the world. There's plenty of people like I haven't actually released a web app into the world before I got my job. Even now, I don't have any web apps that are like out there that are my own thing. I think blogs, newsletters, literally anything has everything. Being part of the Code Tech and Caffeine Facebook group we created, where we have like 15,000 members almost, and people are sharing stuff in there all the time that they're interested in. What has helped you be most productive as a remote developer? So one thing I would say is working remote is you have to respect that you're working remote. It's very easy to just go and be like, oh, there's nobody here. I'm gonna do my thing and not. No, you are getting paid to work. Except you're at home. You don't have to travel. You don't have to typically dress up. You don't have to do all that stuff, and you can go pretty much anywhere you want. Right? It's a it's a privilege. It really is. When you talk about what the general market is, it's one of those items that you have to treat as a job. Uh, because it is. But sometimes people have trouble, and this is not like a engineer thing, but people have trouble holding themselves accountable. So you need to hold yourself accountable. Um, okay. So next thing is having a dedicated workspace is something that I think is really crucial. Having a place where you're like, this is where I work. This is where I do it. I've always had an office as long as I can have one, or I've had a desk that I work at. So having an office and having a place where like this is where I work. I don't have a game system behind me. I don't like. There's nothing in here that's not work related, right? I got the whiteboard. I have my mini fridge for snacks. I have my desk set up, and I have like a little lounge thing here if I want to sit, right? But that's it. This is a place of business, and I treat it that way, and this is where I go to work. I sit down in this chair and I work. All right. Um, so the other thing is take breaks. People sometimes get very anxious when they first start working remote, where they're like, I have to be here, exit this here every single minute. I go and I take 15-minute walks, 20-minute walks all the time. Where I like, all right, I just put in 2 hours. I hit a good milestone. I need to get up and I need to go. Uh, maybe I take my keys. I go check the mail. Take a walk around the block. Say hi to my dogs. Get a snack, whatever it is. Which are all things I would have done, minus like being at home. Taking that time, I would have done that at work. Um, to progress. Okay. I also oftentimes will eat while I work through lunch. So I'm not saying that you should, but I leave a half an hour early for the day because of that. And I work a schedule that works best for me. So when it comes to you, find a schedule that works for you that your business is okay with. So, like for me, I like to get up early because the earlier I am up, the less meetings there are. So the average day for me for my team typically starts at 9. I start at 7:30. I work about 7:30 to 4:30, or 7:30 to 4 typically, and that way I have uninterrupted periods of time where like it's like okay, I gotta get about hour and a half to 2 hours in, and these meetings that I have that I don't care all that much about, I work through them. There's one of the great things about working remote is you can work through meetings. So oftentimes, if it's something that I can still listen to, or it's something that I don't like, a lot of companies will invite everyone to the meeting so everyone feels like they have a voice and so everyone knows what's going on. But that doesn't mean that you are an active participant in that meeting. Sometimes you're just being held hostage by the meeting. And it's okay to work through those. And that's what I do. Um, so I don't know if any of that helped, but I feel like I'm pretty productive. um, do I listen to background music when programming? Yes, all day long with headsets. I actually like the music like right here rather than coming out the speakers typically. Although when it comes to the speakers, the only time I like the speakers if I have it as loud as I have it in my headphones, and I can't really do that because there's people who have rooms that are around here. So I tried to keep it fairly quiet. Um, I'm not a super loud person in general, and there's no reason for me to be loud up here. So I'm just working. So there's not too much going on. Where's the Christmas decorations? Outside, downstairs. So we got a. Let me see. I had to snip it. Uh, so when we first bought the house, money was a little tight, and I said, "Listen, we got." Our friends sort of made fun of us a little bit because we got like this rinky-dink tree. Um, but yeah, can you guys see that? That's our tree. Uh, you see that's in the living room. It's all decorated up. It's literally a star touching the ceiling. But we got this beautiful tree. We got some lights going on in the house. A little bit of rail, and here's it with just a gator underneath it. So pretty tall tree. But yeah, so we didn't really decorate outside. We have like a nice glowing Santa face and stuff like that. We did decorate the inside. I didn't want to go and buy a bunch of stuff that to hang out outside. Don't lose the mojo, use the mojo. Hey, could you start at 6 a.m. if you wanted to? I think so. I get up at 6:50. The issue with starting any earlier is April gets up when I get up, and she goes to bed a little later anyhow. And I like to go to bed around the same time. I like to go to bed beside her. Um, and so I want our schedules to sync up. Do you think that basic CRUDs are going to be automated in the near future? They could be. I mean, I have with a colleague of mine in the past built a CRUD tool where it did all basic CRUD and all you had to do is pass in configuration. He did a lot of it, but I helped a little bit, but wasn't anything that I couldn't do today. Like if they're like, "Hey, we're gonna build 10 CRUD tools that are gonna do this," I'd just go and rebuild that. It wouldn't be that hard. Do you have any good websites for getting certification? So I always recommend getting an Agile cert. Definitely something companies are interested in. Besides that, a couple that I've gotten is the God, the CS. Oh my God, what is it? There's a I've went literally into a testing center and got some certifications in these things. CSW, Certified Web Specialist, CWS. The CIW, Certified Internet Web Specialist, where it's about $100. You go into a testing center and they actually give you tests on these things. I was super nervous about it too. It's like, yo, man, I hope I don't mess this up. People pay me to do this for a living. I was like, this is gonna look bad. Like I saw somebody posted their failed results for some sort of certification they were going for. I was like, damn, man, good on you for posting that. I don't know that I'd have the balls. Um, it's okay to show your failures, but whew, that's a rough one. Um, yeah, but Where the dogs come from? You mean like where do we get them? So the dogs are both purebred Australian Shepherds. One actually has their paperwork to certify that. Gator we got from a farm. We did go to a couple pounds to see if we could find any puppies, but there's just not really puppies at pounds. And because we have 3 cats, we wanted to make sure we got a puppy, just to make sure that they grew up together and they're all good. And we got Gator from a farm. Like literally, a woman. The Gator we got from a woman and her husband that had 2 Australian Shepherds, and she had a couple other dogs. And she had like her own fish farm. She had her own cattle, and the dogs were like literally sleep in the backyard with like in a chicken coop. And so we got Gator. He was all clean. They cleaned him up. Um, but so we got Gator from a farm, like straight up a farm. And we had to go down this like little windy path in the middle of nowhere. Chickens running around and shit like that. Um, and then we then we got Boise from like a puppy broker, which essentially the way that they work is um, people who have like litters but don't want to deal with selling them, they give them to the puppy broker, then sells them, and then they take a cut. So we went to this woman's house who was like a Quaker or something. I forget what it was. There was something like she was super nice, but I remember she was one of those religions that were sort of like you didn't hear every day. And she was in a pen with a couple other puppies, and we got her there. So, but yeah, it was we got her there, drove home with her. April instantly like fell in love with Boise. Gator. So I got Gator. So like I got Gator because he didn't seem interested in us at all, and I was like, "That's the dog I want." He was like, and like as far as like Australian Shepherds go, he's not the best looking. Like, oh, this is the dog that most people want. They usually want like the blue or red Merrills, and there's a blue Merrill there who but I was like, the dog's nipping at me, dog's a bunch of stuff. And it's like this dog doesn't seem interested in me, which means he's mellow and perfect. I want a sort of mellow dog. I and we ended up going with Gator, and then Boise we got because she had a little bit more attitude, but was like lovey dovey. And April was like, "I want that dog." And this the puppy broker had a site where they had photos of the dog. April was like, "That's the dog I want." It ended up being the one. Just had an interview with Amazon. The coding question is take off leak code and glass. Like here's the thing with all these sort of coding questions, there's really only so many ways you can ask the same questions, right? Um, like there's if you understand what type of questions there are, they you know do they continue to go. Yeah, and sometimes you miss the mark. I've missed the mark doing those things, but that doesn't mean that next time you get it right. Just put in a little bit more time. So at my job, I see a lot of methods in classes that have let self equal this inside the method. Does this even make a difference, or should I just use this as some property? It looks like a waste of code. So what you are working with are people who don't understand. All right. So what you're working with is two things. One is a legacy code base where Gator, Gator, dog's getting hyped. You're working with a legacy code base that doesn't understand the arrow functions will not bind this. And so what's happening is you store this that function scope is in right there, and then you store it in a variable to use in another context that has its own this. And so they're trying to they're trying to use the outer this in the inner this context. So that's what's happening there. And it's either legacy code that's how they used to overcome it, or they don't know how to do it in stuff that's come out since 2015, 2016. What I think about the future of data analysis, I think the future of data science, data analytics, all that sort of stuff, it's one of the best, if not better than development in terms of careers you can go to. It's Angular though. It's not about it being Angular or not. It's about people not knowing how to program or people programming like it's Internet Explorer eras. There's ways around it, but no, you don't need to do that. What skill set do you want in a dev interviewing for a front end job? So one thing in mind is that what I look for when I'm hiring developers or I'm interviewing developers, I typically don't make the final choice, right? I'm the gatekeeper. People they go, people are when I interview candidates, it's about whether you're moving forward or not. That's usually what the point of having me there is to see if you have what I believe to be the skill set. So when I interview people, I do a couple things. One, I ask them current questions about the core language. I don't really ask framework questions. I don't really care about framework questions. I care about core fundamentals and principles and language of choice. So I ask those questions. I ask to see that you're up to date on certain things. I ask about principles and design patterns and realistic situations. I ask about asynchronous programming. I ask about high level system design. I ask about testing, things that I think will make you, and I look for. So there's things I ask and there's things I look for. So between your LinkedIn and your resume, that's pretty much all I have time to look at. I check your GitHub real quick, see if there's any cool projects. But typically, I look at your LinkedIn, I look at your resume, uh, and I go, okay, I look for what I see to be a pattern of growth. And I look to verify that. So I oftentimes am more than happy to give people chances that answer questions well that maybe on paper don't have the best experience. That's not to say everybody will. I am one of those examples of people who you have to have you have to be like, let's give Dylan a shot at some point in time, and that has happened. I have been told by previous colleagues that one, HR went to them, said I was asking for too much money, which I wasn't. Uh, two, the director thought I was a little bit all over the place and didn't want to hire me, and they had to talk him into it. And I can understand that. I am a little bit of a unique character at times. I'm a little bit different. But that's what I look for. I look for you to be current. I look for a pattern of growth, and I look for fundamental type stuff, and that's core to the language, core to system design, core to testing. That's what I'm looking for. If you want to see those questions, literally almost every question I ask is my 100 front end interview questions challenge when I interview people for the front end. I also look for problem solving. If I'm doing the whiteboard problem, I'll give you two easy problems. Two problems that you should have absolutely no problem solving. Buzz type level of problems. But you'd be surprised how many people on a whiteboard, on text editor, if I asked them to reverse a string, couldn't do it. You'd be surprised how many people I said, all right, you have an array of numbers. So say there's, doesn't matter how many numbers, there's an array of numbers. I want you to pull the middle number. I want you to pull the highest number. Those are the types of problems that I ask people. And usually those would even be on the high end. So people freeze though. You should not. Here's the thing. If you can't, And I say this as someone who used to throw up before his college exams and throw up before technical interviews. I'd be so nervous that I would literally physically have to vomit. One time I threw up in the bush in front of the building, hoping nobody would see, and I didn't get the job, but I think they didn't see anyhow. But I have had numerous anxiety issues, numerous, um, just the nervousness and the freezing that you're talking about. There is nothing that you could do to me in a reasonable amount of a job interview where I couldn't write a for loop and find you how many of those values added up as a single number. I wouldn't even have to write a for loop. There's nothing that you could do to me that I say, hey, when when you go and write, I need you to print fizz when it's 3, buzz when it's 5, and fizz buzz when it's evenly divisible by 3 and 5. Do you understand? There's nothing. There's nothing. Nothing. If that is something you freeze up on, unfortunately, I personally don't think that you are ready, because that should be so basic that it's something that you can easily overcome. So, like, to me, if you say, "Well, I freeze up in these interviews," it's like saying that you go mute during the interview, right? It's like you may not speak as clearly or loudly, confidently. You may not be at your 100%, but at 30%, you should still be able to do fizz buzz. Like that's that. So like that is my mentality when it comes to that sort of stuff. Is that there's a certain um, expectation of where your skill should be, and I don't want to test you at where you're at. I don't care where you're at on a good day. I care where you're at a bad day, because I know your baseline. You understand? Like I know that given a bad day is an interview. I haven't met anybody that likes to interview. It's a stressful thing. It involves rejection. It's oftentimes a very detailed process. You've gone into it. You invest time and energy. It's tiring. You're juggling your job that you're planning on leaving for this new job, and maybe you're sneaking over on a lunch break. These things happen, right? And they're not fun. At least I don't think they are. So I don't want to give you something that is going to be a challenge for most people, because there's other things I can ask and other things I can judge by, rather than just the algorithm and just the problem at hand. Which is why I like take home projects, because if I give someone take home projects, a lot more time invested. But the issue there is that you're asking people to invest time into um, but yeah, so that's my mentality. But again, the thing you have to remember is that every interviewer is different. Everyone looks for different things, and everyone asks different things. So like what I asked is not what I was asked. I was asked very specific things. I want to know about TypeScript. I want to know about Angular. What do you know about these technologies we use? And what you have to understand when you're doing the interview, and as someone who interviews, at times it may not feel like they want you to succeed, but everyone in HR, every developer there, they want you to succeed. HR wants to get paid. They're doing their job. They want to make sure they keep doing their job. The developers are looking to hire developers to help them out to lower their workload. The work has said, look, we want to get you more people so that everyone can be happier. You're going to be happier. They're going to get more done, et cetera, in theory, right? Go find some people. Developers are dying for you to find people. All right. They want you to succeed. But you have to understand, you also have to be at the caliber that they're looking for. So it's a little bit rough. And the one additional thing I forgot to mention is, and an older manager I worked with at a previous job said this to me, and it really stuck with me. That and I tend to apply, is that when I look for someone to join the team, I'm looking for somebody who bring something to the table, something different oftentimes. And that, if you bring something different to the table, whether it's an outlook, whether it's a skill set, whether, whatever it is, when I look at you, I put value in that. Where we say, you know what, maybe he didn't do very good on the JavaScript portion, but his design, he has a design background, and I think that add to the team that might sneak in. So I do put, I look at when I'm evaluating a candidate to what additional things do they bring to the table that the team can benefit, the organization can benefit from. So, but all right, guys, we're going on almost an hour here. I have a business call I got to hop on here in just a second, and see how that's going to go. So, with that all being said, I appreciate you all very much. I hope that you are all going to have a wonderful weekend, wonderful holidays. I actually work Monday and then I have a week off. I thought I had Monday off. I'm kind of bummed. Uh, but with all that being said, I wish you the best. Happy holidays. Happy Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. If we don't see you before then. Look forward to some of the cool videos I have that are gonna get my mojo back. And if you're interested in any of my courses, there are links in the description below, such as some of those front end interview questions that we've talked about to help you get going, or the 100 algorithms challenge to help you solve some of these algorithms. So, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Later, Casey.